A lot of people ask, what does oolong tea taste like? And because oolong tea is such a broad category, there are a few different answers. In this video, we're going to dive into the different types of oolong tea and we'll attempt to answer the question, what does oolong tea taste like in each production style? Without further ado, let's get started. What is oolong tea? We should probably start by explaining what oolong tea is and how it differs from the more well-known teas like green tea and black tea. The first thing to know is that there are 6 major tea types: white tea, yellow tea, green tea, oolong tea, red black tea, and post-fermented tea. When it comes to the middle 3 teas, the differentiating factor comes down to the oxidation process. Once the tea leaves are picked, they will begin to oxidize naturally over time. During this process, the enzyme oxidase converts the catechins in the leaf into theaflavins and theorubicins. This changes the color of the tea leaves, as well as the flavor of the tea. Black tea is fully oxidized, and that's why the leaves are brown and the flavor of the tea is more on this caramel or chocolate side. To produce a green tea, the farmer will apply heat to the tea leaves after harvest in order to stop the oxidation process and retain more of the catechins in the leaf. This is why green teas like sencha retain more of their natural vegetable flavors when compared to black tea. Oolong tea lies somewhere in the middle between these two as a partially oxidized tea. During the production, the oxidation process is accelerated through bruising the tea leaves and bringing certain enzymes to the surface to be exposed to oxygen. Then the leaves are heated to stop the oxidation process. This creates a broad range in the oolong tea, with some being almost completely oxidized and some barely being oxidized at all. While it is rare in Japan to find a tea that is not a green tea, there are examples of Japanese oolong tea, Japanese black tea, and Japanese fermented tea. Like oolong teas produced in other countries, these teas are partially oxidized, but they seem to be lighter overall. The farmers also, for the most part, don't employ this charcoal roasting process that is common for Chinese oolongs, making Japanese oolong teas taste a bit fresher. The flavor leans heavily on these floral profiles, with notes of lilac and honeysuckle. The tea has a tiny bit of this citrusy astringency in the finish, which rounds out the taste nicely. The closest tea to compare it to would be something like a Jinshuan oolong from Taiwan. So what does oolong tea taste like when it's produced in Japan? Typically light and flowery. What about oolong tea produced in China and Taiwan? In China and Taiwan, you get to see a much richer tradition of oolong tea cultivation and production. With oolong being more common, there is also a broader range of flavors to describe. For simplicity's sake, let's break it down by green oolong and dark oolong. First, green oolong. These oolong teas are unroasted and the appearance of the leaves is typically dark green, from the older leaves used in the production process. They tend to be less oxidized, although this doesn't necessarily have to be the case. The lightest would be a tea like Pushong, which is completely unoxidized and has these really soft lilac notes. On the slightly more full-bodied side, you have a tea like Jinshuan or milk oolong, which has a creamier consistency with notes of coconut, cinnamon, and honeysuckle. Finally, we have dark oolong. These oolong teas are charcoal roasted, and they have dark brown or black leaves. On the lighter side, you have a tea like Guan Yin, Iron Goddess, which has much more of these cinnamon and toasted pastry notes. If you go a bit darker into the world of Dancong Oolong teas, you will find a lot of this minerality and earthy roasted notes that may be reminiscent of a campfire. These teas pick up their intense minerality from the region they are grown in, which contains rocky, mineral-rich soils. So what does oolong tea taste like in China and Taiwan? That really depends on both the roasting, the region, and the oxidation level. I hope this video has helped you clear up a few questions you might have on the taste of oolong teas and how different types of oolongs can differ in their tasting profiles. If you'd like to try some rare Japanese oolong tea, we found a great one produced by Miyazaki Sabo in southern Japan. When you order tea from us, you're not only helping to support this channel, but also helping us to support the dozens of talented farmers we work with all around Japan. We hope that by sharing these farmers' stories and their teas with people all around the world, we can help to transition the tea industry into a more positive, sustainable direction. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions about oolong tea or tea in general, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. Until then, we'll see you next time.